Hey everyone, and welcome back to the All About Nothing podcast. Today I've got to take a moment to talk about something that's probably on a lot of our minds. It's the outcome of the 2024 election. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like many of you, I had high hopes for this election. I went in with my sleeves rolled up, full of optimism for change that we believed was coming. I wanted this to be the election where we saw progress on issues that mattered deeply, not just to me, but to my family, my friends, and our community here in South Carolina and across the country. But as the dust settles, it's clear that things didn't turn out the way that many of us had hoped. It's a hard pill to swallow. It's disappointing when the vision we had for the future, one that you know could uplift and improve lives, takes a hit. But here's the thing. Hope isn't gone. Hope is stubborn. And it's not a flame that gets snuffed out by one election. If anything, this outcome reminds us that change isn't a single victory or a single defeat. It is a long journey, and we've got to stay on it. So here's my promise to you and to everyone listening. We're not going to give up. We're going to keep asking the tough questions, holding people accountable and supporting each other. And while we're at it, we're going to try and find ways to laugh, celebrate, and appreciate the good things because that's part of resilience too. Let's take the lessons, the energy, and yes, even the frustrations from this election and turn it into something constructive. We'll keep pushing for what's right, we'll keep striving for what's fair, and we'll show up for ourselves, for each other, and for the future we still believe is possible. Thank you for joining me. Let's get into it.
Hi again, it's Ami from the Welcome to Wonderland podcast. This Thanksgiving, make a statement with ZJZ Designs' brand new Thanksgiving Day prints. Whether you're hosting the family feast or just want to show your festive spirit, they've got the perfect design to make your holiday memorable. Introducing Tommy the Turkey. He's fun, he's festive, and he's the star of their latest collection. From playful tees to cozy long sleeves, Tommy will keep you looking stylish as you carve the turkey or sit back and enjoy the pie. And that's not all. Their Thanksgiving prints feature a variety of unique designs that capture the warmth and joy of the season, perfect for yourself or as a gift for a loved one. Shop now at zjzdesigns.com and bring a little extra cheer to your Thanksgiving.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to another episode of the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 230. I am Barrett Gruber. I am joined by Mr. Bill Frye, who is back from his leave for an episode.
For one episode.
For one episode.
Hey. One episode.
Zach King is going to be joining us here in a little bit. He has duties that he is attending to with, of course, everyone here except for Bill has children. He does not know the plight.
Oh, Bill, you don't have any kids?
No. Oh, wow.
Dodging, tap dancing in the rain.
Come on, join the party, Bill. Join the party.
Yeah, man.
You know what, though? Maybe do it in a blue state. Just cautious reasons. We'll get into
Yeah,
more
there
of
you
that.
go.
Please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, if you could, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting our website and clicking on the support link. And if you can't do that, please drop us a review, hit the 5 stars, give us a thumbs up, or leave a comment. All of that helps drive our show higher up in all of these platform podcast ratings.
Yes, sir.
I want to introduce to the show Midas and Famous from the No Shortcuts Show on YouTube. You can find them at youtube.com/@NoShortcutsShow.
You sure
Guys,
can.
welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. We didn't do our live show this Tuesday, because we understood it was a holiday. Want to give everybody a chance to vote. And we knew we were coming over here to hang out with you guys and do a little All About Nothing session. So we're excited to be here.
Man, if we can't talk to each other for a week, we got to come on somebody's show and do it. We didn't do our show. We got to find some way to get these words out.
Somebody's show. You know
We're
what I
at your
mean?
disposal. We're at your disposal.
Thank you so much.
First thing I want to do is, I know when you listen to these episodes, you hear us talk about, you hear me talk about ZJZ Designs. Again, this is my mother's business. She is 82 years old. And honestly, please, if you could, go check out ZJZ Designs. This is the T-shirt for Thanksgiving. This is one of the T-shirts. For Thanksgiving.
I love it.
It's Tommy the Turkey.
Yeah.
It's Tommy the Turkey. So,
So ready for Thanksgiving.
She made sure that I had one to wear.
Shout out to Mom.
ZJZ Designs.
Tom, he's a bird.
Hey,
that's the word. Tom's a bird. Remember that from
bird.
The Cosby Show Thanksgiving episode. Tom.
Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, Mom. That is copywritten. You're gonna have to change that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's all good.
Like I said, Zach is going to be here in a few minutes. We're going to be on for a little while. We're going to do our regular show, but Midas, Famous, if you could, one of you or both of you, give us an idea of what your podcast. I know I've watched it. Matt Villardeau.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah, he introduced me to it when you all had him on, and I have watched you guys every single week since then.
Man, we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
tell us about the show.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
would you
Midas.
like Too Famous?
No, you
okay? I guess. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, no shortcuts with Midas and Fame. We started the platform actually about 3 years ago. Famous came to me with the idea of, just creating a platform where we would initially start out sharing our stories of entrepreneurship, and our journeys and things like that, and in hopes to help others who have aspirations to, or have dreams or gifts, passions, whatever you embody, as your talent or your skill set, to go after it. We have guests on weekly, allow them a chance to share their stories and promote themselves, but all with the idea in mind of inspiring others to take whatever that next step may be for them. We believe that everybody has something they could bring to the table, and something they could turn, they do for fun as a passion. Something you do for free. Let's turn that into a means of being a career for yourself. So in a nutshell, that's what our platform is built on. Not only that, but we encourage those people to network. We have our No Shortcuts, the community group on Facebook, and we try to interact, network with each other. Famous is a DJ. I'm a musician myself, but we're not limited to just the aspects of music. We have people who have online stores, mobile bartenders. We've even talked to, you mentioned our guy Matt Villardeau, so he, as far as politics and things like that. So just whatever industry or aspect, that you may be coming from. And a lot of times we understand that the information and the discussions don't just apply to being an entrepreneur. A lot of things we discuss can also be applied to life in general.
Yeah.
So we're just having a community good old time over there.
Yeah. And I told you guys before we started, this is when I started this podcast, it was back in 2017. And really it was me just doing a running monologue of my thoughts on Donald Trump's presidency.
Mm-hmm.
And my discomfort in that. And one of the reasons that I did it was because I worked for a company that when you work in a corporation or you work for a small business or anything like that, the idea is that generally you don't want to discuss politics or religion or anything like that. The truth of the fact is, at least at that company, was you don't want to talk politics or religion if they are different from the owner, your directors, your vice presidents. That's where you want to. You're not welcome to discuss politics. You're welcome certainly to take the abuse of listening to it. But that was essentially the idea. So I started just basically recording myself on a couple nights a week and just publishing them. Literally, I was publishing them myself. To do a podcast, it requires creating an RSS XML feed, like a whole, basically scripting it out. I wrote the whole thing for the first 50 or 60 episodes.
Wow.
And again, it was basically just sometimes I'd have people on to talk with me over the phone or whatever, but we have expanded into this. We won Best of Columbia 2023. This one over here, we were the best podcast local to Columbia. And
awesome,
then
man. Congrats.
2024, we were the runner-up because the second year running, the first year it was easy. The second year it just cost you a lot of money.
Okay.
So
like with anything else, huh?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But
hey, man.
so
I'm gonna
but
act like
that's
there's something
essentially
in
what
my
we do.
cup right now, just so I can be.
I have
Barrett.
something, but
There's
it's
nothing in
not.
this
It's
cup,
not Maker's Mark.
but I'm
This is
just
Arnold Palmer. Yeah, and
Got a water bottle.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we got to shout you out for your 2K subscribers. You know.
yeah.
Oh, look, honestly, and you know what? We've been sitting at 2,000 subscribers for a while. Like,
Yeah.
I think, and I'm just gonna say this. I think that someone may have paid for some subscribers.
Okay.
I don't know that we got those organically, because over the course of like a month and a half,
Mhm.
we just saw that number steadily rising.
And
My
Good
confidence level is low
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
You know?
So with that being said, we should encourage everyone who's watching right now to hit the subscribe button on your channel.
please.
You know, yeah, All About
Absolutely.
Nothing podcast, and then also after
Head
you
over
get
to
off of
No
here tonight.
Shortcuts.
Yeah, when you get out of here tonight, go over to No Shortcuts with Midas and Famous. You might could minimize this for just a second if you got the right smartphone.
Yeah,
Minimize this and just type
new
in.
browser.
Yeah,
All
No
pause.
Shortcuts. No Shortcuts with Midas and Fame. We cross collaborating this evening.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We got. I see a couple comments out there. Matt has said hello.
Okay.
Also,
What's up,
somebody,
Matt?
somebody titled "The" has said good evening.
The.
Guys. So
Okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, that's is that the from the All About Nothing?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pulling
That's
from
right.
the YouTube feed. It's the Travel People podcast.
Oh, well, okay, that's
That's
Juan.
what it is.
Yeah.
JB?
That's Juan. Okay, Mr. Juan Velasquez.
Juan,
Yeah.
just so you know, I have your business card, and I promise I will get in touch with you. So no worries on that.
Yes.
So
yes, please, hold
essentially,
on. Before you go on, Barrett.
Yeah.
Before you go on, let's give a shout out to Juan again at the Travel People podcast. While we're following each other, and y'all subscribe to No Shortcuts, also subscribe to the Travel People podcast. He does a great show over there, talking all about travel and cruising, and that's a great podcast as well. So let's all follow each other.
Yeah.
And let's follow the Travel People podcast.
Yes, let's do
We're
it.
actually going to be shooting a new episode next week, and it'll be out soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
Famous is the producer of that one, as well as Women Worth and Weddings. Which is
Women Worth and Weddings.
podcast
Yes.
city over here.
Yes, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, Juan, I'll make sure to include the link to the Travel People podcast too.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good old time.
Check the show notes, because
Yes.
you'll find all the links there. So obviously, we had a big week this week.
Yeah.
It was, and I'll just say it from my perspective, it was a disappointing week. I'm not forcing my opinion on anyone else. My disappointment came from Matt Villardo's campaign loss.
Yeah.
We did lose to David Martin, and our hope is that David Martin is successful in the state house. That is mostly, from the perspective of local politics. My hope is that David Martin is successful in being a reformer for the Republican Party and representing Fort Mill with the utmost strength that he can. He has an upward battle to fight. He is definitely rowing against the current, but our hope is that he is successful.
Yes.
Secondly, I made comments on the episode that was released last week, or I guess that Donald Trump was going to lose handily, and that Harris was going to walk away with such a large electoral count that the Republicans were going to start abandoning Donald Trump. I have eaten quite a bit of humble pie.
Yeah.
And you're drinking a lot now,
I am
too.
picking crow. Yeah, that's
right. You got to watch that pie down.
I am constantly picking crow out of my teeth.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah.
And I will say that there is an infinite number of trolls that are making sure that they know that I know that they know I was wrong. It's and I'll just say again, I was wrong. I read the situation completely incorrectly. There was so many data points that pointed towards a Harris blowout, just based on early voter turnout, Polling numbers, Iowa numbers came out and indicated basically an 11-point swing in Harris's favor compared to where Biden was when Trump and Biden ran in 2020. And I was completely wrong. And admittedly, you know what? I'll just say this.
Yeah.
I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. I am an Atlanta Hawks fan. I am an Atlanta Falcons fan. And I'm used to losing.
Hey, well, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, Barrett. You weren't the only one. I actually know.
Man.
I don't know if you know about this guy. There's this guy that an older gentleman, and he had successfully. He's in politics. He had successfully predicted every presidential election since like the 70s or something. The only one he got wrong. Yeah, the only one he got wrong. What? There you go, Lickman. Yeah, the only one he got wrong was the one where he predicted Al Gore, and technically Al Gore did win the popular vote, so that was kind of with an asterisk. And he predicted that Harris would win this election as well, and now he's also eating crow.
Yeah. I watched him the night it was happening.
Really?
It was wild. Yeah. I'm interested to see where everybody was at and what they were doing the night the election was going on.
Well, let's go around the room. Let's talk. Midas, we'll start with you. Where were you at?
And I was just gonna say, and people in the chat, feel free to chime in too and tell us what you were doing. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, Midas, tell us where you were at and what sort of emotions were you going while you were watching?
All right,
this?
so I actually went to vote on this past Saturday, because normally as a musician, my busiest time of the year is like from spring until like the end of October. So I actually was off this past weekend, so I took an opportunity to go vote early. So I did that on Saturday. Actually, Tuesday night, I was down at the church I play music for on Sundays, Mount Dewell Baptist Church. I was having a choir practice down there. Yeah. With the men's. Yeah, thank you. With our men's choir there, man. And so that was as we were dispersing rehearsal. There's always chatter on the way out. Who do you think is gonna, in the lead and this and that. And so as I came on home, then we got my family group text and keeping an eye out on everything. Just try the best to your ability, with the understanding that all of the votes may not be in at that particular time, but there was just trying to be hopeful, and hope for the best, man. I will say I'm not the biggest Donald Trump supporter, and just let me go back. There was a time where you didn't even discuss who who your interest may be vested in as far as your vote is concerned. I remember growing up, the pre-social media. I think social media made it where, there's my brother. What's up, Matt? Smooth Sales in the house. Thank you for joining us. Member of the No Shortcuts community. But there was a time where you didn't even discuss these things, and now you bring in the fact of being on social media, man, and everybody's so outward and so bold about what they believe and who they're going to be voting for. Myself, I look at it with Kamala Harris, man. I mean, we were saying in the green room, she didn't ask to be in this position, but her being in the vice president as Joe Biden, President Biden at the time, stepping down, she next in line, as they say, next in line. So she only really since August 15th. So what did you say the number of days was?
107 days.
107 days. But you like to be hopeful, man, in this new, as we in 2024, you want to be hopeful that there's a possibility for some sort of change, some sort of change that kind of equals the playing ground for all. You know what I mean? And not just be of the mindset of the old regime and things like that. Because the fact of the matter is we live in a diverse America. You know what I mean? Yeah. yeah, it just is what it is at this point. And I had friends in Canada. I got friends in the UK who reached out to me and asking, what's going. They're like, it's all over the news here, and in so many words, it's like, well, if our neighbor's house is on fire, we're concerned about them, you know. So yeah, man, I just trying to, and as I'm saying this, I'm trying to keep it as neutral as possible, because when it comes to politics, everybody's sensitive and things like that. But my hope and my aspirations was for let's try something new. Now, granted, she's a female and a female of color, and and the regime of the United States as we know it just may not be ready to handle that just yet.
I think I don't disagree. And I'll, before we turn to Famous, I'll say I think one of the other issues is how Democrats approach that particular issue about our opinion that the MAGA wing, the GOP, the Republican Party, how we approach that message of our concern that they're not ready for a woman president, or they're not ready for a woman of color, or they're not ready for a woman who also is of Asian descent. All of these things add up, but one of the things that I've had to come through my recognition of how I communicate, especially when it comes to being a campaign manager, of how to communicate that without making it sound like I'm accusing someone of being racist, or I'm accusing someone of being a misogynist. Calling Donald Trump a fascist, I think, had basically no impact on anyone as far as an impact on making or aligning them closer with Harris. And so recognizing that from a campaign perspective, but also recognizing that as a progressive, I want to be able to tell people what my opinion is without making it seem like I'm belittling them because their opinion might be different. That's one of those things that the Democratic Party just got really wrong. Famous, tell us where were you on election night, and what were you feeling?
Well, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. I was actually Tuesday night. We went early when my wife got home from work. She actually thought I went ahead and voted without her, but I waited till she got home and we went over together. It's our location is literally right across the street, so we just walk over there. But later in the night, once the polls started closing, my daughter does a competitive cheer group, and they have their rehearsals on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays. And so I was on my way to pick her up 8:30 that night as the first set of results started to win. And I just had it on my phone. I had the thing on my phone, just kind of watching the numbers as I was driving her back home. And once I got back home, we just got settled in, and we were just kind of watching a little bit here and there from bed. And we just, at one point, we turned it off and went on to watch 90 Day Fiancé, and then came back to it to see what the updates were, because it just wasn't a whole lot of movement at that time. So we came back to it, and just, once we saw, how she was underperforming even 4 years ago numbers, in some of those major places, we just kind of, we kind of knew it was going to be a uphill from there. So we just went ahead and turned that thing off and woke up to the news, man. But like you said, there were some things that were done wrong, campaign wise. But even from the standpoint of what you said, Barrett, about America not being ready for a black woman, there's a lot of blame to go around there, and to consider the fact also, both times that he's won, it was against a woman.
Yeah.
It was a white woman.
Yep.
First time around. Yep. So you put any halfway decent white man up there that can put a census together, and then they know, okay, well, Trump's not the guy. But you put a woman up there, no matter how qualified and how seasoned they are, it's just not going to happen. And like I said, there's a lot of blame to go around there as far as how we as a community, and I am speaking specifically to mine, how we see women, how our men see our women, and don't want them to succeed in that way, but we all got mothers and we all have daughters and we all have sisters. But any other Black woman that's not in that category, we don't want no parts of it. So that's a little bit of a problem for me. But like you said, there's without getting, offending anyone, because in the words of Michael Jordan, the GOAT before the GOAT,
I took it personal.
Republicans buy shoes too.
Yo, yeah.
Truer words have never been said.
Yeah, man.
You notice he's the GOAT before the GOAT, right? You notice that line?
Yeah. Well, the GOAT before the GOAT before the GOAT.
Yeah, man.
You got Jordan, Kobe, and clearly LeBron.
Jordan's the GOAT, in my opinion. You think Kobe? Okay.
Oh God, Kobe. I think Kobe for me represented every, because with Michael Jordan, I loved watching Michael Jordan play. I was a Hawks fan, so I had Dikembe Mutombo, and I had Spud Webb,
rest in peace,
Dominique
Dikembe.
Wilkins. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you know who Kobe? You know who's Kobe's mentor was, though, who we used to call and pick the brain of, and let me get your workout regimen and your trainer, and I believe. It was Mike. Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And who better to tell you, one, how to play the court, how to play the NBA, how to play the officials, but how to market. I mean, the marketing genius behind Jordan and Kobe and LeBron. Just and who else played huge roles in their lives? Their mothers.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
their mothers were part of every decision they made from college.
Yeah. So true, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
getting back to what Famous was saying, right? Kind of tying it all in, and if we were to be totally honest, as macho as we are, but the and things like that as men, the term happy wife, happy life comes from somewhere, And at the end of the day, man, you just have to weigh it out, and sometimes change. Something new could be good.
I want to say something.
Weird, man. I'll tell you. Go ahead, Barrett.
Oh, I was just going to say something. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
Please, Famous, please go ahead.
A little delay.
So my wife works for a Department of Corrections, and there's guys. She comes home and tells me about guys in prison. They're in prison. They've been in prison for 20 years. They're going to be in there for 20 more. And they're talking about Trump and talking about not voting for, if they wouldn't vote for Harris. And it's just a male chauvinist situation. That's all it is. It's just a chauvinistic point of view, especially in, rural areas. We're all of us here in the South, South Carolina, Carolinas, all these rural areas still have that chauvinistic point of view. I'm from New York City. We knew what Trump was 40 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We knew he was, we knew about the housing discrimination. We knew about the untoward practices, things that, where most of the rest of America started learning of him through a television show. And then he grew fame from there. But in New York City, we knew what this was always. So it's something to be said to that, going to specific audiences and areas and making everybody crazy.
Yeah.
And he could do no wrong.
He's Teflon Don.
Yeah.
He's Teflon Don. Ultimately, that's what it always comes down to, is that there's nothing in his supporters' eyes that he can do.
Man.
And I'll comment on something on that in a minute. But Bill, before we get to you, I want to also comment on just the upstream battle that Kamala Harris had to fight. And one, the campaign for her was 107 days long. Secondly, and I'm going to say this, and this is probably unpopular, but some people may agree with it. Her fate truly was sealed in 2023 when Biden decided that he was not going to be the transitional president that he said he was going to be. When he was elected in 2020, one of the things he said was that this will be his one, he'll do one term and he will turn it over to the next generation. And in April or May of 2023, when he decided that he was going to run, I am now of the belief that that was when the fate was sealed, because I don't know that the Democrats would have chosen Kamala Harris to go against Donald Trump. I think that the likelihood is that they probably would have gone with a Shapiro from Pennsylvania. They would have potentially gone with the governor of Kentucky. You know, I'm not saying specifically who I think it would have been, but I think that the Kamala Harris, when Biden stepped aside, Kamala was the only one that could take over those reins. And not just from the point of view, or not just from the perspective of, you know, she's already the vice president, but for the only reason because she was the vice president. The amount of money that the Democrats raised could only go to her because she was on the ticket. If they had chosen anyone else, even without going through the process of primaries again, if they had chosen anyone else, that money's not accessible to them. No campaign can just move money to another campaign.
Right.
So Kamala had everything that could potentially tie her down did. And I want to real quick. Let me see. So Juan posted a message, and I completely agree. He posted a message. He said that they should have avoided overemphasizing first in a way that might overshadow the substance of her platform, but use it as a powerful complement to her qualifications. And absolutely agree. 100% absolutely agree. Because ultimately, what occurred was she was trying to distance herself from Biden at the same time as she had to acknowledge the things that were done during that administration.
Right. It's a lot on the plate.
It was too soon.
She couldn't step aside from it.
Yeah. As they say, it's like burning a candle on both ends, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there's my mother. Hey, Mom. I love you, Mom. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. We're live with the All About Nothing podcast in conjunction with No Shortcut Show. You know?
We got to do a homework. We got to have you on our show, too. You and Bill.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Yeah, Bill, you can come too.
I'm happy. We're happy to join.
I'll go.
Yeah. Bill, we have to do that.
Bill was probably the busiest among us because Bill is a journalist student at the University of South Carolina.
Carolina News.
He works for the South Carolina News, or the Carolina News. So Bill, give us a short synopsis of your evening.
Oh yeah,
it was wild. Yeah, so I work now for. It's been a minute, by the way. I'm sure people have probably noticed my absence from the podcast here. I've been working about 60 hours a week, sometimes 70, on some broadcast journalism projects. I've been producing, anchoring, reporting, all sorts of stuff. But this past week, I was just I'm just on in-depth this week, so I have a story I'm working on that I can't talk too much about. Never know if WIS or someone's going to be watching. They were there with me that night.
Yeah.
But I was out at the South Carolina Democratic Watch Party at the Beer Garden on Canal Side, where they had a big screen, they had people, they had speakers. Matter of fact, Wayne Borders, who we interviewed over the summer, was there. That was a
fantastic guy,
real nice guy. I was there, and we watched his election results come in as well. On top of some others that did go well for the Democrats. Of course, Jim Clyburn was there as well. So he was there along with several other speakers. I was the assistant to my good friend Jason Leonard, who was reporting that night. And so we watched the everything come in. We got reactions from several people. I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, there was people from Southern Germany, journalists from Southern Germany who were broadcasting out of this party. And they just had food for everyone. I kept track of all the numbers. I had a prediction that went up beforehand. Earlier that day, I'd actually had the honor of being able to break down South Carolina's voting from 2016 to 2020, and now I'll be able to see what it looks like in 2024. it's interesting. You should take a look at it. Head over to Carolina News and Reporter if you want to take a look.
All right.
But yeah, as soon as we start seeing the numbers come in.
Yeah, that's the plug bell.
Yeah. It's making me want a burger. But continue.
Yeah, no, it was fascinating because I had a map made up before. As a matter of fact, it's funny you brought up Alan Lichtman because I followed his keys very closely the entire time up through this election, as well as a lot of stuff based on previous elections that had happened and current polling. And I had a map made up where it was already a tight race. I mean, I had Wisconsin going 0.2 to Harris. I still had Nevada going almost, I mean, I think it was like 1%. Same with Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania I had a little bit more likely, but it was wild to see as soon as Illinois came through and we saw numbers that were coming out of Chicago, numbers that were in New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey might as well have been a battleground state. I mean, it was wild. And then around midnight or maybe around that point, I'd seen what was going on with Philadelphia. And as soon as I saw some of those numbers, I was like, it's going to be over, and I think we're going to know the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling everyone, like in my newsroom, I was like, it's going to take 3-4 days. This isn't going to happen. They were using my map. I even felt bad because they were using my map to guess the election. And so then the next day I walk in and I'm just like, I'm wrong. I was wrong. The margins were close. As a matter of fact, if you look back at my map, I have it, the margins are very tilt, but it goes the way I thought it was going to go for Harris, but exactly for Trump. So it was very interesting to see those numbers come in.
Hey,
yeah, man.
Midas, your mom says she's just getting off of her broadcast.
Yeah. She has her Hour Power. Yeah. So she's a member of our, of course, no shortcuts platform as well, but she has her own platform. So hey, listen, if you need a good spiritual word, ladies and gentlemen, go over to the Hour of Power channel over on YouTube. You know, Apostle Francis D. Hardison Ministries. We plugging all the podcasts here tonight.
There's a lot of plugs tonight.
Barrett,
a lot of plugs.
We gotta have your mom on our show too, because she's an entrepreneur. She fits right into the No Shortcuts thing.
Yeah, and we'll
get that scheduled.
We still got to schedule my mom on ours.
ZJZdesigns.com. Go check it out.
Yeah.
So I was up in York County with the Evangeline Hunley's
shout out
campaign.
I played her political party and I think it was in June or campaign party, excuse me. My outfit Mellow Groove. We played her campaign party. We were at the Mercantile. Okay.
And Rock Hill.
Okay.
And so shout out to the Mercantile because they put on a really good party, I guess.
Yeah, they do. That's where I was at too when we had our campaign party.
Yeah. I think that might be her favorite.
Might be the spot. The Mercantile. Shout out to the Mercantile.
Yeah. Love it.
So we were trying to watch the numbers come in, and of course with local politics, state houses and such like that, the Department of State for South Carolina doesn't put out those numbers very quickly because it's hard to get those reported from, say, York County all the way to the state and then them publishing on their webpage. So there were several people that were out like literally taking pictures of the poll tickets to publish the number, to get the numbers to us. I left around 9:00, or about 8:30, 9:00 to head home. I live in Columbia. Rock Hill's a drive.
Oh wow. Okay. Columbia. Yeah.
So, and then we also had some other stuff going on. But essentially, it was we were there watching the returns come in on MSNBC. And everybody was when I was there, everybody was seemingly having a good time. It was the time, by the time I got to the interstate, It was for me just seeing the turnout, the numbers, how Harris was underperforming in Atlanta, how she was underperforming in Pennsylvania, North Carolina. She was underperforming what the expectation was. I got home, turned on MSNBC, and basically just watched exactly what I saw happening in real time. What I thought was going to happen by the time I hit the interstate, and was, my emotions. I was crushed. I did not see it go in this direction. And I definitely, my mind was in fear of what a second Donald Trump presidency means for marginalized communities across the country. My fear of what happens in Gaza, my fear of what happens with Ukraine, and ultimately, the 1.5 hours that I got of sleep that night, the only thing that really was able to calm my nerves to the point where I could go to sleep was, look, Donald Trump is going to be 79 years old here very soon. That in his first term, I viewed his first term as being so incompetent that he didn't get a lot of the things done that he said he was going to do. And I think I was able to squelch some of the fear I had that night, recognizing that the possibility is that his second term may be the same. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they're probably going to be able to get a lot of the stuff done that they want to, or he said that he's going to get done, mostly because I don't think there will be any of those moderate voices in the room this time. I think that he's going to surround himself with people that will that won't push back on some of the stuff that he says. And so that ultimately that's my fear. But I say that as a fear, recognizing that it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And it's, for me, I don't want to speculate on what I think is going to happen based on fear. Because this is what I tell my kids all the time. Fear isn't real. Danger is real. Right. You can fear danger, but danger is the only thing that's real, not fear.
There are some legitimate things that he has said that's unbiased. You can go ahead.
Go ahead, Fame.
Well, go ahead, finish that.
I was just going to say there's stuff that's unbiased that, he's been very clear about this entire time. It's not biased to say that he's talking about mass deportations. He's still talking about that. He's talking about, cutting Social Security. There's
a lot of those things. Yeah,
there's been some of those things. If the cabinet members in Project that were
2025, right?
2025 that will be on his thing. There's a chance. Department of Education, what's that going to look like? RFK is going to be on the FDA. What is that going to look like? 60% tariffs on China, 2,000% tariffs on other places. What could that look like? Those are legitimate concerns that he has said. He has also talked about putting a target on Liz Cheney and targeting Marxists and communists in America. What does this mean? That is
right. That's the
very
that
big
part.
concerns.
That part,
What were you gonna say, Fame?
Well, I just want to first off, I have to thank you guys again for having us, because I do have to jump off here in a second. But speaking to what you said about the fear, we're kind of at that point where there's not much we can do. Right, it's done. Unfortunately, I just kind of live in a perspective of what can I do? What kind of world do I want to live in, right? And then part two is what can I do to contribute to the type of world that I want to live in? It's not much we can do about, presidents and things like that. I will say even more importantly than before is getting involved in your local politics. And I know this is something you guys are probably going to talk about later. But like I said, I got to step off. But getting involved in your local politics, what you're doing with Evangeline Huntley and with Matt, these things are important. A lot of times more important than the president, because the president still has to get stuff past people. What's happening in your communities is what you can directly affect. Who's the district attorney Who's putting these people in jail unfairly for, unequal jail terms for similar crimes? Who's doing this? Who's the judges that we're electing? A gentleman just got sentenced. The death penalty was just carried out in Colombia last week on the 1st, right? Yep. Do you know the story about this guy, Barrett? He's 59 years old.
Yeah.
He committed this was in 1999. He walked into a convenience store unarmed, and he was admittedly, I think he was high, right? But he went to make a purchase, and he didn't have enough money. And there was an argument with the clerk because he didn't have enough money to purchase what he was trying to purchase. And he was out of his mind. But the clerk pulled the gun on him, and then the clerk got killed.
Yeah.
In 1999.
Yep.
And then he was sentenced to death in 2024. Let's make that make sense. And how does that make sense? So
that's
my
crazy.
point is, who are we electing to be judges in our districts and district attorneys in our districts? Who are the sheriffs in our districts? These are things that we can directly affect in our communities more so than who the president is of the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Barrett, what you were doing with Matt and Evangeline Hunley, I commend you for that, because these are the local difference makers more so than the national figureheads.
And I'll just say this: Governor McMaster's his defense attempted to try and get clemency or at least a stay of execution. Governor McMaster's decision on his execution was to go through with it because he had previous criminal charge, and that to me, that is an overstep of one, a criminal indictment, that to me doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
He had a previous criminal charge that he was either charged with and served his time, or he was expunged of the situation. I'd have to look into it. I don't know for certain.
There are other people,
but the point is,
there are other people in prison for far worse that didn't get a death sentence, right? So there's something to be said. And I'm in a prison
aren't in jail.
Well, that too.
Prison ministry.
I do prison ministry as well, so I'm in prison a lot. Like I said, my wife works in the prison for the Department of Corrections, not just one prison, but for the Department of Corrections. So we see these things all the time, and we hear these stories of these young men that are doing. Guy did something when he was 18, 19 years old, right? Before this last gentleman that was executed, there was one a few weeks ago, the first one in 13 years in South Carolina, a crime he committed when he was 19 years old back in 1997. So now he's done almost 30 years in prison, and now they execute him for this crime when he was 19 years old. Who are we electing?
He's got to let that ride out.
In these places, that's not the president of the U.S. that's doing that. That's not Donald Trump doing that. That's not Kamala Harris. That's not Joe Biden doing that. Who are we putting in these positions to make those kind of decisions to execute someone for what they did when they were a kid?
Yep.
And
you're absolutely
the gentleman
right.
just last week has been a model prisoner. He's helped, other prisoners since then. Everybody's, having great things to say about him. But for something you did 30 years ago.
Because of that,
So I think that's that's where our focus should be. Juan for mayor in Fort Mill. I agree.
Breaking news. Juan's running for mayor.
I thought he already was the mayor.
Juan is the mayor.
He's the mayor. He's the people's champ.
I want to leave y'all with a little bit of food for thought as far as that concern with our local politics.
Yeah.
I know the main subject of this particular show is about the presidential election and all, but I just wanted to put some food for thought in terms of being more involved in our local politics and our councilmen, like what you're doing with our mayors, with our district attorneys, with our sheriffs. All of these are elected positions, but there's a big population of us that just kind of go out every 4 years and vote for the big one. And there's more work to be done there.
And shout out to William Bump Roddy.
Yeah, Councilman Roddy, absolutely. And like I said, I do have to step off, guys. And I do appreciate you having me and Midas.
Famous,
no shortcuts.
Famous, before you jump off,
my ding.
Famous, before you jump off though, give us your business. Tell us what your businesses are, and so we can make sure to include those.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. And I want to hear all the dings when I do it. I am the owner of FMG Event Company. We do primarily weddings, but also private events. Pause, please. All private events. Mostly around the Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. We're all up and down. Not just weddings, private events. I'm also a budding podcast producer, like these gentlemen here with the No Shortcut Show, with the Travel People, with Juan.
Yeah.
And Women, Worth, and Weddings. And there's another podcast coming soon that I'm a little bit tight-lipped about, but it is on the way.
Okay.
FMGEventCompany.com, and all the social medias are at FMG Event Company and at No Shortcut Show.
All right.
How many things was that?
Right. I'll make sure that that's all included in the notes. 5? Is it 5?
At least.
I think 5.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, Famous, I got to be honest. That means you have to take advantage of the evening hours you have available with your kids. I really understand.
Thank you, sir.
Famous, we really appreciate you being with us tonight.
Yeah,
really
we'll catch up.
With us tonight.
I want to do it again.
And
we'll talk soon.
Bill and I'll definitely be on your show soon.
Yeah, we're gonna work it out. We're gonna work it out.
So one of the things that I also wanted to talk about was this is mostly just from a historical aspect. I'm not making any claims or trying to disparage anyone. Donald Trump got just under 72 million votes. That's 2 million less than he got in 2020. Harris got 67 million votes. That's 14 less than Biden got in 2020.
Okay.
Here's the comparison. And I'm not saying this to fearmonger. I'm not saying this to say that there is any sort of. I'm not trying to make an accusation.
Right.
From a historical aspect, Hitler was elected chancellor in 1933. After 2 million fewer people voted in that election in November of 1932. That is an odd similarity to what we had this time. Had voters turned out, this election likely would have turned out differently. Again, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is Hitler. I'm not saying that he is a fascist. I'm just making a comparison that at least in the 1932 election, the fascist was elected because fewer people turned out. That is something that is that just happened to catch my eye when I was doing some research. In looking at some of the exit polling information, men didn't vote for Harris. It was 42-55% men. Females almost didn't vote for Harris. It was 53 to 45 in favor of Harris. White people didn't turn out for Harris, despite the fact that there seemed to be an overwhelming support, especially financially. Whites voted for Trump 57 to 41. One of the things that we discussed on our show earlier this summer was that black men did feel disenfranchised with Kamala Harris because they didn't know what it was that she had done as far as being an AG, being a district attorney, being a senator, what she had done to try and better the lives, or at least show an attempt for black men. But black men turned out for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Black women turned out for Kamala Harris. This was the support for Kamala Harris from the black community was almost exactly where you would have expected it to have been. Donald Trump got 13% of black men and women.
Okay.
Hispanics, Latino descent, this is one of the ones that was the most surprising, which was that Hispanics turned out for Trump at about 46%. Now, Biden had a better turnout with Hispanics in 2020 than Trump did. But those numbers slipped. And I think the thing that what I'm reading and what I'm seeing, all opinions, but there's a consensus that it looks like one of the reasons that Hispanics didn't turn out for Harris the way they turned out for Biden was because the Democratic Party has has shifted a lot towards the educated community, or the college degrees, the that people generally making anywhere between 70 and up to the billionaires, of course, but that Democrats have shifted from being the party of the lower class and middle class to now being the party of the middle and upper middle class, and that is not the Hispanic community, which they're disenfranchised because a lot of the Hispanics that are in the United States are here are doing the lower wage jobs. The jobs that basically are the backbone of the country. They're not being paid a salary for. And I read a book, and I if I had it in front of me, I'd show it to you. But it's called Deer Hunting with Jesus, and I can't remember the name of the author. The author. But
I can look it up for you real quick.
Yeah, but basically, it's a book specifically about where he came from in the Appalachians of West Virginia, and how the poor white community votes Republican based on this idea that the Republican Party is the party of Christianity and evangelicalism. That the Republican Party is the one that is the most likely to provide for the poor whites. That the Republican Party is the only one looking out for the poor whites, because communication from the Democratic Party is always acknowledging the minorities. But I think, and you can attest to this, Midas, that do the Democrats really turn out and actually support the Black community? And Juan, if you're online, welcome Zach King. Zach King.
Hey, sorry guys.
What's happening? What's happening?
Bad stuff. Did I miss the macabre therapy session? Did I?
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, I can speak for myself, and I definitely did. And it's hard to say. I mean, obviously you have the numbers, right? But it's hard to say because, again, it's like when it comes to the vote, and it's not really discussed. I don't really discuss it, with like my fellow people that much. We have conversation, but we never get down to the who you're gonna vote for type of thing. But speaking for myself, I made it a point to support Kamala Harris, just from a standpoint of, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, you have to desire some sort of change, and we've seen 4 years with Donald Trump, and let's not forget what happened. What was it, January 6th, after he had to in 2020, when he had to relinquish the reins, so to speak, and we've never seen anything like that before in our country, and when you look at qualities of leadership, you want to look upon somebody who has certain qualities, self-awareness, they can self-control, you're compassionate. There's certain qualities you look for in a leader, having integrity, these things
all those
we
missing from Donald Trump.
Yes, I'll let you say it. But, so speaking for myself as it pertains to the African-American vote, from a male standpoint, I was in support of Kamala Harris.
Well, so, and I wasn't here, so maybe we already covered it, but it was the young white male voters who blame everybody else for them being shit. that ruined this for everybody.
He's coming in hot.
It's your Joe Rogan podcast listeners. It's your Shane Gillis dogs. It's those people that, for no intelligible reason, like Donald Trump, outside of like, it's tough, he's a bully, says what he's thinking. Like, it's not a great trait.
Right.
I will say this as well. The number of people that I saw, whether it was them being interviewed on TikTok creators or them creating their own influencers or whatever on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, the number of them that said basically that. They would say things like, Donald Trump says, he's tough. He's going to be tough on Russia. He's going to be tough. These are all things, but hear them say that completely ignoring
everything
the things
else
that Donald Trump says, which is, I get along very well with Putin. I almost called him Donald Putin. I get along very well with Xi. Xi is an incredibly smart man. He rules China with an iron fist, and it's like, and he's very smart.
Kim Jong-un, very, very tough leader, very, very powerful man in his country.
It's and look, Juan said it.
Yeah.
Trump is a cult. He has a cult following.
Yeah, he can do no wrong, huh?
It is, and someone, someone on the other side could certainly look at me being a progressive and say, I'm brainwashed. I believe these things that people say that are in favor of my opinion. Y'all are doing the same fucking thing completely. You're not paying attention. And I will acknowledge, I think the Democrats, I said it before, Democrats screwed up this election. And ultimately
15 million of them did.
Yeah. But I'll also say this. For me, I looking at how the events played out, I think Biden was a good president. I think that he did a lot of good things in his term that helped America. The CHIPS Act, the Infrastructure Act, these are things that brought in jobs. These are things that moved jobs back to the United States. He did enforce tariffs on countries where goods were coming in order to create a competitive situation for for those companies overseas, so that the companies here could empower themselves to be able to sell their products for the same price that are being sold now because of the tariffs.
Right.
These are things that Biden's administration did in conjunction with Congress, and I don't think he gets enough credit for those things. But his mistake was not saying in April or May or June of 2023,
the transitional time.
I'm stepping. This was my one term. I'm going to do this. I'm out. I'm going to turn it over to the Democrat. I'm going to turn it over to the public. I'm going to turn it over to the party.
Yeah,
they will decide who takes my place.
Right. Let me bring it back to something you said beforehand, Barrett, where you were talking about the cult of Trump could look at you, and right-wing people can look at you and go, well, you're brainwashed by the left side just as much as I am from the right side. The number one thing I did for the last 2 days, day and a half to 2 days, internally, was look at myself, because I'm always preaching challenge your worldviews. And if you're not challenging your worldviews, you're not growing, you're not critically thinking. Was the biggest thing I did was sit back and go, am I nuts? Am I on the wrong side? Because it happened again. The thing I did not think would happen again happened. So am I crazy? And you look back at all the policies, the whole campaign, the things he says, I can't find where I'm in the wrong on this one, that this is a psychopath who's genuinely doing this for himself. He doesn't even care for the people who voted for him. He's not doing a single thing for anyone else. He's doing it for him. Always done everything for himself. And that's still where it's pointed. The one of solace that I get from it is him and his cabinet are incompetent. I think they've done some of the biggest things they can do with stacking the Supreme Court, which will get worse, removing women's rights, which could get worse. But I do think that the dagger's been stabbed, and the people who pissed them off are going to pay the most for it. And if they stay on that witch hunt, that's where it's going to lead. But I don't think I'm wrong in this, that compassion is what we tried. Kamala ran. Kamala ran She ran on things that people in 2016 who voted for Trump wanted when it came to fair wages, fair housing market, to decrease the prices of groceries, to stop corporate price gouging, things like that. Those are the things that the people in 2016 wanted, and that's what she's still trying to give them, because the economy is doing better, but the prices are still high. And they still chose hate over everything else. They chose rhetoric over everything else. And I don't think you can fight with love anymore. And I think Scathing Atheist had a good good intro for that today, talking about what else do you do except for fight hate with hate. That's all that seems to resonate with him is so plant something in the ground that's going to grow this time, because love wasn't it.
Yeah,
like it just wasn't it.
To your point, Zach, like if anyone follows my TikTok or the podcast TikTok, I put out a video basically acknowledging where I was wrong, and the number of trolls that
I can imagine
that were
I was seeing it too.
Yeah, they know, basically the number of people that would come in and say, that didn't age well. Yeah, I admit it. I told you I was wrong. I acknowledged it. Here's something.
It's called humility. They're not used to it, dude.
Yeah. I'm the most humble person on the planet. Just so you know.
But hit the bell for yourself one time.
Wow. No one's more humble than I am. Wow.
Look, but like one of the comments that somebody wrote to me was they said that it takes a big man to acknowledge that your party lost, and I said I completely acknowledge it. I acknowledge that we lost in 2020 or 2016. I acknowledge that we lost in 2024.
Guess what we didn't do? Turn to conspiracy theories and storm the Capitol.
Well, so I will comment on that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Conspiracy.
There are a number.
Where's the X-Files theme?
Yeah, I don't have it on me. There are a number of left-leaning influencers on social media that are out there saying that there has to be something that went on as to why there were 16 to 20 million people that didn't vote this time around.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think we need to man up and just take the L right here and show them how it's done, and then come back swinging harder. Like Stallone said, Rocky said, it ain't how hard you hit, it's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. So I don't have time for conspiracies. Let's just take our L and fight harder.
And that's I think that's ultimately when Harris conceded yesterday, yesterday. When she conceded, she didn't say anything about this election was stolen from me.
Right.
This
got to do it gracefully. And with class.
Because that's what we do as a country. Donald Trump still hasn't conceded the 2020 election. He has never he's admitted at times that he's lost, but I think that's when the Adderall effect is coming down versus him taking a handful of pills to bring it back up. And look, that can be a conspiracy too. I'll flat out admit
say allegedly.
Allegedly, the man eats Adderalls like Tic Tacs.
Man.
Allegedly.
So what's the amendment that instituted term limits? Was it the 22nd?
Yeah, I think the 22nd or 23rd.
So if he does away with that, and he's like, I'm gonna be president till I'm done, then he needs to step in the ring. Let me take this one. I'm coming in.
Absolutely.
Number 3.
Absolutely. This guy does good impressions, by the way, Zach. That's good.
Zach does all the impressions. Is Joe Rogan in the house tonight? Not Joe Rogan. Sorry. Is Seth Rogen in the house tonight?
Oh, Seth Rogen too?
I can't believe we lost. Oh, God.
He's good.
Not as good, but
he's good, man.
So another topic I wanted to. Zach, I tell you what. Before we move on to the next topic I wanted to discuss. Tuesday night, we've all told everybody where we were, what we were going through. Zach, tell us what was your Tuesday night like?
So I was playing Call of Duty with Keith.
Call of Duty.
And
preparing for the apocalypse.
I was watching Cognitive Dissonance, and they had Heath Enright with them doing a live. And when he started pounding liquor, I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
So I just kept watching, and I was like, "Oh, India's blue. Oh, it's red. Oh, it's red." Oh, this is it just kept getting worse, and I was just taking out my impotent rage on Duty. Because there's nothing else I could do. I was like, this sucks. And then I instantly went to bed. I when we were done playing, I just went to bed, and I was like, I'm gonna wake up to some terrible news.
Yeah and it was and again, we acknowledge it and we accept that it happened. And we accept the failure was our own doing. It doesn't, it doesn't matter how much work you do at that national level. The impact that I have, that Zach has, that Midas has, that Bill has. Well, Bill, no impact.
Well, the thing that kills me,
he has to keep his opinion quiet.
With his affiliations.
Just the people that I know that like started sharing stupid ass memes of like Kamala Harris in the UFC corner with Joe Rogan being like, "You're down." Like I was just like, "You're the dumbest son of a bitch I knew in high school." I'm surprised you drive a car, much less that you found a voting machine. Odds are you didn't even vote. You're just happy for no reason. It's just
yeah.
Don't,
you know what?
Never underestimate the power of stupid. And
that's the guy that couldn't figure out how to tie his shoes with both hands, so he figured out how to do it with one.
I mean, it's the kind of person that you see at like a job that they hate, and you're like, "Were you funny in high school?" And they're like, "Yeah," and like, "Was it worth it?"
I want. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say too. You have. I think I said this before we came on live, but you have a certain percentage of people who are of the mindset of this is all rigged. My vote doesn't count. That sort of mindset. Sometimes, I don't know if it would equate to how many did you say that turned up Democratic wise that didn't even place a vote?
We're probably at least comparing to 2020
was like
anywhere between 14 and 16 million.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be that. Out. Yeah, and I don't know if what the angle of which I'm presenting, if it would be that many, and I did say when I went to vote Saturday, there was a young lady who was a Winthrop student, and she came in under the impression she could vote up here in Rock Hill. She's from Greenville, and she wasn't able to vote. She said her mother had told her it'd be all right, this and that, but they said, no, you would have had to do a mail-in vote. So, but you're not going to be able to vote here. And, with the election being on Tuesday, which is the final day to vote, and that was a Saturday, I highly doubt she drove home just to place her vote on, so some of that, just in my experiences, I know that was something I saw live and direct, but then you do have people who are of that mindset, like, it's all rigged. They already got the winner picked anyway, so I'm not going out to vote.
Hey,
and that's common.
Childs and all that. Yeah,
I'm gonna say this right now. Elections are not the NFL. The script isn't already written.
Yeah, you have to go out.
That because the Falcons lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in a game that they should have won.
Yeah, and man, especially being a African American male, I have to think about the people that who died, who or ancestor wise didn't get this opportunity to vote, to have a say so as it pertains to life in the United States of America. Yeah. So it was my due diligence to make sure that I got out and casted my vote.
I was telling my wife, she was like, my vote's not going to matter. And I was like, 104 years ago, we're fighting for this. Please.
Yeah.
Whether it's regardless or not, like, make time, it's a thing that needs to be respected.
Absolutely.
I will say, on top of all that, I am just a little curious to hear about what y'all thought about some of the local races, like Heather Bauer, Russell Ott.
Congratulations to Heather Bauer, awesome. Russell Ott, Jermaine Jones.
Yeah,
Leon Lott.
Yeah,
Leon Lott. Leon Lott won again.
Yeah. Did Evangeline win?
Term, but
no.
She didn't win? Okay. I voted for her. Shout out to Evangeline Hundley. Yeah, I don't think Matt falls into my district, but I would have voted for him too.
We had David Robinson on, and I loved everything he had to say. I voted for him, but I hate to see that Joe Wilson won yet again.
Well, I will say this: Joe Wilson, while I disagree with his politics, I will say that Joe Wilson, as the person that represents our district, has always been accessible to me. has answered the phone when I called, and has provided assistance for people that have asked for it. And he has, while I guarantee you he voted for Donald Trump, he has never been one of those representatives to me that has come out and touted Donald Trump's. He's never said that he's aligned himself with the things that Donald Trump says. I've seen comments where he has said that Donald Trump should stop tweeting. Donald Trump should hold his comments. So while I didn't vote for Joe Wilson, I voted for David Robinson. He was on the show. He showed that he was an individual. He was a candidate, and he was ready to represent our district. And I voted for him because I thought that he is the next generation of who should represent the House District 20. What are we? House District 2. Sorry, I forgot.
Okay. I'm in 6 actually, which is
Nancy
Level
Mace
country area. No. I was at Clyburn.
Oh, Clyburn. Good.
Yeah.
Clyburn. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to vote for who you feel is going to be the best candidate. In your opinion, who aligns with your ideals and things of that nature. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't know how old you are, but I know that Barrett's like 75.
46, man. 40. I just turned 46 October 9th.
Right. So
Still
when Bush was running,
every time.
Did I welcome Zach to the show yet?
Yeah,
I have an introduction written down here somewhere. Hold on, let me have another sip before I. Welcome to the show, Zach King, funniest guy on the planet.
He is, isn't he?
Was it this kid? Were people this shitty to each other when Bush was running?
Well, what I was saying too before you got on here, man. Like I remember growing up, right, and you didn't even really discuss politics openly. I think social media changed the whole landscape of that.
Sure.
I just remember being a kid and election time and things. I mean, I remember when Reagan and all of that, growing up. Yeah, I was born in 78, but even amongst when my parents didn't discuss really openly who they had in mind as far as their ideal choice for a candidate for presidency. You didn't discuss it out and open. I think nowadays we're in the era of social media and everybody runs to the computer or the phone to voice their choice, especially
opinion.
Yeah, especially when it comes to politics, right? And it's like it's so divisive to do it, and people will go back and forth. So I guess I'm tying it all together. But honestly, I don't make posts in regards to politics. I read others' posts, but I don't comment because I don't have time to go back and forth. You know what I mean? I know what I feel. Yeah. So I don't even talk that on social media, because a lot of times people just gonna say a lot of reckless stuff they would never say to you to your face. But what I was getting back to. So yeah, it wasn't even discussed like that. In my observations prior to social media has made the whole politics and running for this and that and elections a extra dirty game. It was already dirty, but it makes it extra dirty, man.
I'm 36, so
okay.
When I was growing up and Bush was running, you had things come out like movements like Rock Against Bush, where they made compilations of like bands. Green Day, clearly a good example. Rise Against, another example. That like vehemently couldn't stand what was being done with the Bush administration and Cheney and stuff. And I think that might have been like very tip of the iceberg of people like tell you don't talk religion and politics. Right. You turn on social media, it is religion and politics. That's a driving force completely behind this election. All of it.
I think one of the biggest issues with the availability of social media is that it's almost anonymous in the way that people get to view their opinions or express their opinions.
Give them.
It is. I've called it hate from a distance. Because
it's like vicarious hate. Like you can elect somebody and watch the world burn, and you just live and watch, and you're like, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I mean,
putting on a mask in the middle of a thing and doing whatever you want to someone without getting away with being able to get away
exactly.
with it.
Right.
Exactly. It's and it's the same as egging someone's house in the middle of the night. They don't know you did it until the next morning when they're like, "Why can't I see out my window?"
Yeah.
It's such a passive way. It's such a passive aggressive way of avoiding having a legitimate conversation. And actually, while we're on the topic, Zach is my partner in this podcast, and Zach, I not to put you on the spot, but I am probably going to shut down our Twitter account or our X account, mostly because for one,
I'm with you.
It doesn't produce anything for us. We get so little. We have been shadow. Our account has been shadow account for probably the last, I don't know, almost a year.
Really?
I mean, we used to go from being, we'd have thousands of views. It wouldn't equate into people at least, they weren't commenting, they weren't always liking,
right?
But we would get thousands of views on our posts. Now we're down to 5 and 10.
Oh wow!
And, dude, it's let me this. It's right with it. So I had to create a second account for some like business stuff I'm doing for Twitter. I haven't liked or followed a single thing in every instant like article that I get. Everything on the feed is right wing lunacy.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
And you know who hangs out over there?
Yeah.
Look, well, what's the one? The leading report.
Like, when I accidentally log into that one, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, what is going on?
The leading report, the one you're talking about?
Me?
No, I was talking about one of the medias. There's, like I'm not on X a lot either. It's just like there's one that's the leading report, and I've never seen.
I got you.
I'll look it up right now. It is
wild,
dude.
It is
one of the comments.
Wild.
One of the comments somebody said to me earlier today was that, Twitter.
Matt Walsh. Instantly Matt Walsh.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Matt Walsh today put out a tweet, and I'm going to paraphrase, basically saying, hey, y'all were worried about Project 2025. Well, guess what? It's real, and we're doing it. That's not exactly what he said, but he did.
Close.
Mm-hmm.
And
Trump is my president. It's one.
That's that. And
Alex
there was
Jones.
And
I don't follow any of them.
And Elon Musk owns that platform, and he's affiliated with Trump as well, so it's all.
We got a psycho putting shit into orbit.
Yeah. and he's also created the cheapest. Well, he didn't create it. And I do this. I hound on this idea that Tesla
we got the
makes
darkest
shitty cars.
timelines Iron Man. That's what we got.
Yeah. But I don't fault Tesla for being bad because of Elon Musk. I fault Tesla for being bad because they modeled the Dodge Neon and said, let's put batteries in it. That's what they did.
You really think? Don't that to the Dodge Neon.
Leroy's already told me that I am smudging the Dodge Neon.
Oh my gosh.
You know what?
SRT4 Dodge Neon.
Dodge Neon was a great car if all you had was $300 for a down payment.
You know what's funny? They didn't even
I
bother
remember
to change
the
the name
Dodge
when Plymouth
Neon.
put theirs out. They're like, it's also the Neon.
The Plymouth Neon.
Oh yeah, that they were similar, weren't they? And they have similar body. Wow,
it was the same car.
Wow, that
They're
is
like,
right.
Dodge Neon, Plymouth Neon. We're not even changing the name.
Sheesh.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about before we get done, and this is the one I think that bothers me the most, is that all of Donald Trump's federal cases are in the process of winding down and wrapping up. So you have the January 6th case and you have the documents case. Both of these cases are ultimately coming to an end. Jack Smith is there's nowhere else for Jack Smith because there is this unstated rule or unwritten rule that you do not investigate a sitting president or the president-elect.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Those unspoken rules of baseball. Fuck that.
Yeah, like the no-fly rule.
We can be 10-1, and I'm knocking homers if I put it down the plate.
Yeah. So, I just want to say this, and I wrote it down, and I'm going to read it verbatim for what I wrote, and I hope I didn't write it incorrectly. But I for those listening, Donald Trump is an adjudicated felon, regardless of whether you think he was wrongfully convicted. a jury of his peers, regardless of their opinions of him, regardless of their political leanings, regardless of any feelings, he is and always will be a convicted felon. He may win on appeal, which absolutely he's welcome to appeal. It's within his rights. But forever, he will be a convicted felon. He will die a convicted felon. Even if he wins on appeal, he will be a convicted felon. He will be the first and likely only president that we ever elect with felony convictions. And that is a fact that cannot be denied without it being in a state of denial.
Yeah.
So I guess, what are your reactions to the fact that Donald Trump is and will always be a convicted felon, that now his party has elected him?
Well, it looks bad, right? To be a person in a of that magnitude of leadership, such as the president of the United States, to have these things on your record, and if he can hold that position with these things on his record, then I feel like all applications should take that off of the application, right?
Put it on the presidential application.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, you have to be held accountable at some point. You have to be held accountable. Should they wind it down because he's now elected president?
Hell no.
That's tough. But I see the plan coming together. It's like, okay, well, it's all kind of tailor made, but none of us could go out here and have these things on our record and
parties would fire our asses. Like,
you could not be a janitor at a public school with a conviction, with a felony conviction.
Right.
I think there's a sweet bit of irony that party of guns and he can't own a firearm. But he can point the military wherever he fucking sees fit.
Yeah.
That to me is just wild. Like, you can't do the gun stuff, but we have millions and millions of people that you can tell where to go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting because November 26th is also gonna be
New York's sentencing hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, which I'm like, is the judge going to give him a break? Probably.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. Because that judge will be out of their mind.
But
does he rule from jail like an old school mafia don?
So the reason, like Goodfellas. The reasoning will be that this is his first felony convictions. It doesn't matter that there were 34 of them. The reasoning, I guarantee you, will be that he's a first-time offender, and ultimately these are white-collar crimes. This isn't something that most people go to jail for. This is something that most people would pay a steep fine for, and maybe he'll have to pay another steep fine.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. He'll make sure that any appeals make their way all the way to the Supreme Court, to which Clarence Thomas, Alito, Comey Barrett, Roberts, and did I name all of them? The
Kavanaugh. People who bend over and lick their own assholes to make sure he's okay.
and they will rule in favor, and he will not pay any fines.
And
if it wasn't, it could be them, but also if they step down and he replaces them with 40-year-old.
Look, basically, Trump winning the election gives Clarence Thomas and Alito basically the permission to go ahead and retire.
Yeah, and if it was anybody
the
else,
Republicans will have the Supreme Court for the next 30 years.
30
probably,
years.
Maybe
30
longer.
Years. Comey Barrett's basically Midas and my age. Kavanaugh is just barely over our age.
Yeah.
That's why we need action. That's why the action is needed.
Yeah.
Shit in her mailbox for the next 30 years.
It's crazy.
Every time she has an awful fucking ruling or an opinion on a piece.
Oh
shit
my
in her
gosh.
lawn. Like, somebody has to do something.
Bags of poop.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. But
make it unbearable. Make their actions have consequences. Like, be mad. We need some more Rage Against the Machine kind of shit happening.
Yeah.
But and if it was anybody else besides him, would they be so lenient?
No, I don't think so. I think that I think that him as president, Donald Trump as president, basically is a free pass for the conservative MAGA wing and the Supreme Court to basically, they will use Donald Trump as their tool to pass things like a national abortion ban. If the House isn't in the Democrats' control, which we'll find out, I'm hoping by Saturday. But if the Democrats don't have the House, if the House and Senate are both in control of Donald Trump, the executive branch in control of Donald Trump, and the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, is in control by Donald Trump, we basically have Donald Trump has unfettered access to pretty much do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to pass
unless there's
laws.
a filibuster rule.
You want to know who I feel the worst for right now?
Well, let me just say on the filibuster rule, I have feared that the Republicans will get rid of the filibuster rule because or at least for the time frame.
They can't speak that long. Yeah.
Well, no, it's because they'll have the majority vote and can vote out the filibuster rule, and which means that they can pass anything through the Senate that they want. All they need is 51 votes, and they're at 52 right now.
Okay,
and it may increase to 56.
And it's such an interesting thing because short term, the filibuster rule never seems to be great. Long term too, there's so many pros and cons because there's a real bipartisan push to have wanted to get rid of the filibuster rule for many years.
Really? Okay.
For it to be in this situation, this will be interesting.
Oh, I completely reversed my opinion on the filibuster. I have always been in favor of getting rid of the filibuster because it gives the minority power. It gives minority power. It gives the minority power. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. It gives the power to the minority party. And because basically right now, Mitch McConnell can filibuster or threaten to filibuster any bill that the Democrats try and put up. He can do it, and nothing comes across.
If I was in the House or and I got to filibuster one day, I would read the strategy guide for Legend of Zelda and Ocarina of Time. You may not know what a strategy guide is, but it's going to be an amazing long time for everybody.
It would be very entertaining too. It would be very entertaining.
Let me tell you who I feel the worst for. Let me tell you who I feel the worst for.
Who's
the custodian that's in the White House last Thursday and rubbed the carpet after vacuuming, and he's like, "It's gone. Stink of Trump is fucking gone." Tuesday came and he was like, "God damn it."
It's back, huh? This guy is off the chain, man. He's off the chain.
He's never coming out. Do it all orange. I don't give a shit anymore. He just quits.
You're not wrong.
Hope there's a government shutdown. Fuck you all. I'm out.
You're not wrong. Well,
yeah, man.
Listen,
can you imagine? You've heard the Vietnam spitting stories, how they can't stay in the Oval Office because the couches are too close together because spit comes from Trump's mouth and hits everybody, and they're all like, "Hey, say it this way. Let's fucking. Can we not? How about a Teams meeting? Would you like a Teams meeting?"
Yeah, exactly. Can we go back to COVID?
Oh my gosh.
I will just say this, and that for those out there that absolutely are ecstatic over the fact that the person that they voted for, the Donald Trump, won the election, I will just say
it's a dim light.
I hope that what you get is what you wanted. There are a number of promises that Donald Trump made, and we as a podcast we're gonna ask the questions. We're gonna hold him accountable to it. Now, I don't think he cares about our podcast, but
I don't really care about being held accountable for anything.
That's right. The war in Ukraine is supposed to end within 24 hours of the day that he takes the oath.
And all the illegals supposed to be gone. So
mass deportation within 24 hours of him taking the oath. These are two things. These are day one things. He said that he would take care of, and he would do it with the powers of a dictator.
If that happens, I'll be impressed, B, terrified, because our economy will be fucked.
Yeah. My fear is that he he definitely recognizes people like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff. These are Jimmy Kimmel, Jamie Rassenberger, Jamie Raskin. These are individuals these are individuals that, because of their association with the J6 trial, or the hearings, these are individuals that he has out of his mouth said that these are people that should face a military tribunal and put to death. And he said that Liz Cheney should have a firing squad pointed at her face.
That's crazy.
Yeah, go through her dad, you fat piece of shit.
Yeah,
that's
he
crazy.
shoots people in the face on accident.
Go hunting with him. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
And Dick Cheney has the power. Dick Cheney has the power to shoot somebody in the face, and a week later they're apologizing to Dick Cheney for being in front of their gun.
And he also owns Halliburton, so there's the thing. Listen, have y'all seen the movie Civil War? That was the Apple movie.
Yeah,
I hope this.
I haven't seen it.
Be fantastic.
Oh, you want the Civil War?
The Civil War.
You want
the
the
very
last
end
scene?
of the movie? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have to go watch it now.
Some guys to come get you.
Yeah. I'll just say that Ron Swanson was not a good president.
And this is on Apple?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a very jarring. It's a little hyperbolic because
for sure.
It went down the kind of the twilight zone of what if.
Yeah.
For 2016, 2020.
Okay.
But I was just like, be so bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
okay.
As long as we're shouting out movies, which Civil War on Apple, I will say, I want to say this: if you haven't seen it yet, Netflix #1 movie for like 3 weeks was Don't Move. I will say the reason that you should see it is because the person who stars in it, I apparently know her.
Really?
But we'll get into that later.
We'll
get into that.
We're working on something.
Work in progress. I will just say we're trying to get Kelsey on the show. And,
cool, man.
We might have an inroad on that because I absolutely love Yellowstone. I think that it is one of the best written shows that's on television right now, and I'm thankful it's coming back so that we can wrap up the whole story. And Taylor Sheridan can get on to maybe focusing on the reboot of Justified.
I'll tell you what's funny. My wife was watching the preview for I Don't Think You Should Move or whatever.
Yeah, Don't Move.
She's watching it and I was like, I don't think she should move. And she's like, shut up. And I'm like, I don't think she should move. She shouldn't move. She's moving. She shouldn't move. And she's like, please leave. I'm like, I just don't think she shouldn't move.
Yeah.
Is this the one where the girl was
drugged and then
she's drugged?
Okay, I did watch it.
The whole movie.
I watched it. I gotta catch up on my movies.
Yeah,
that's
good, Kelsey Asbill. Her that's her stage name. Her actual name is Kelsey. Her actual name is Kelsey Chow. It's in her Wikipedia.
Your dog's
no. But if we get her on the show, we'll discuss how it is that I know her. So
that'll be cool. Yeah.
So real quick, that's gonna do it for episode number 230. I want to thank
man.
Midas.
Yeah, thank you for having us, man.
Episodes.
I know there's been so many
taking
episodes.
Its toll.
Thank y'all for having us. Thank you,
Jerry Midas, of course, from the No Shortcuts podcast, No Shortcuts show on with
Midas and Fame. Yeah,
on YouTube. You can check the links in the show notes. Go check it out. They are live every Tuesday.
At noon. Yeah,
I'm pissed. I miss Fame, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he had to tip out a little early with dad duties. I'm gonna have to tip out to it, and then just in time get the kids ready.
That's why I was late. Was dad duties.
Exactly.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah,
we understand.
Bill's the only one that can't. He can't participate.
Claim that. Yeah. He's a young man. He's got
a couple of bad and good decisions, Bill.
Yeah, like I said, if you're gonna do it, go to a blue state.
Yeah,
your partner, wife will be more protected in a blue state. That's all I'll say. All right, that is going to do it for episode number 230. Thank you again, Midas, for being on the show.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me.
Links to past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, and social media. Oh, fuck. Bill, thank you for being on the show with us again. It was a
Bill.
pleasure.
I was about to say.
It was a pleasure.
No, thank you so much. It's so nice to
non-intern
to see y'all again.
Yeah, the official journalist Bill, who now has
and I've been seeing Bill's posts with the ladies. Bill, you're killing it, man. Storming the field, talking to the ladies.
Okay.
Is that your intention, Bill? Was it the ladies?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Lucky coincidence.
That's not
Bill. Come
nice.
Links to past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, and social media available at our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger? Support the show. Monthly members get early access to this episode as well as other exclusive content. You can do all of that through a one-time donation, also through our same link. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can call us and leave us a message, 803-672-0533. You can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com or join our Discord server. Links are available at theallaboutnothing.com. I thought I was going to get through it without messing it up.
Hey,
whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, everybody, for listening. You all stay safe, be kind, and
keep your hands and your votes to yourself, because it's not going to be okay.
Hey, I'll say just everybody. Hey, listen. At the end of the day, you know are in charge of your own destiny, and if you believe in God, there's power in prayer, and we're gonna all be all right. We're gonna see this thing through, see how it turns out, and we're gonna be okay.
I think the final message is we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be okay.
If it's not, I'm going to Jerry's house.
Come on.
Right. Jerry's hosting all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you again, everybody, for listening. Please subscribe to the show.
Peace, y'all. Peace.
The All About Nothing podcast is produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow everything Cake the Band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the Producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the Producer. I am Barrett Gruber. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Barrett Gruber or visit my linktree /Barrett Gruber. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available, including memberships that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. To find links to our social media, merchandise, and past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be heard on the show, you can call and leave us a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our partner podcast. Zach and I host What the Pod Was That with Carrie Simmons. Visit whatthepodwasthat.com for links and details. Me takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole in episodes of Welcome to Wonderland, available on all the podcast platforms. Visit WTWLpod.com for details. As well, you can listen to the political and social conversation between Dr. Jamela Brooks and Bill Kimmler on Black, White, and Blue in the South, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please like and hit the notification bell. Thank you for listening. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media and copyright 2024, all rights reserved.